Hi, I'm Erik Jones, and you're listening to Verse by Verse. The theme of Ecclesiastes chapter 12 is pretty cut and dry. Remember your Creator in your younger days, before you get old and your energy to serve Him is diminished, and before you die. Solomon, the author of the book, used a very interesting description to describe death, a description that can easily be confusing. That description is found in Ecclesiastes 12, verse 7. But let's begin by reading verse 6 to get the context. Remember your Creator before the silver cord is loosed, or the golden bowl is broken, or the pitcher shattered at the fountain, or the wheel broken at the well. These are all idioms for death. He then goes on in verse 7 to write, Then the dust will return to the earth as it was, and the spirit will return to God who gave it. So Solomon is describing two things that happen when a person dies. One is obvious. The dust will return to the earth as it was. That's simply describing the fact that the human body eventually decays and becomes part of the earth again. But the second one is not so obvious. The spirit will return to God who gave it. According to Solomon, when a person dies, something happens, something that we can't see, and without this verse, we'd be totally unaware of. Something called the Spirit returns to God. Now, some, based on preconceived ideas, might assume this refers to an immortal soul going to heaven when it dies. However, this is a completely different word than the one that's translated soul throughout the Old Testament. The Hebrew word for soul is nephesh and describes the body or sometimes physical life in general. Many scriptures, such as Ezekiel 18:4, are clear that the soul is mortal and it dies. But if Ecclesiastes 12 verse 7 is not describing the soul, what is this spirit component of a human being that returns to God at death? Well, it's actually something the Bible calls, in other places, the spirit in man, and is one of the most fascinating topics in the Bible. Now, we don't have time to survey all the scriptures that refer to this spirit in man, but a couple of verses can give us a basic understanding of what it is. Zechariah 12 verse 1 tells us that the spirit in man is something God forms within each individual human being. So every person is born with the spirit in man, and it's given to us by God Himself. But what is it, and what function does it serve? Well, Job 32 verse 8 reveals that it gives a human being understanding. Paul later built on that in 1 Corinthians 2 verse 11 when he described the spirit in man being the element that allows a human being to know what he called the things of a man. To state it simply, the spirit in man is what separates humankind from the animal kind. It is what allows a human being to have a mind capable of advanced cognitive thought, a mind capable of learning and growing, a mind that has allowed humankind to build civilization. This spirit in man works in concert with the human brain to give us intellect and the ability to perceive, create, and reason. It gives us emotions, and it also allows us to perceive spiritual knowledge, something animals are totally incapable of. And in addition to that, the spirit within each individual is the record of their collective memories, personality, and character. It's what makes you, you, and me, me. When a person dies, this spirit, containing the totality of what made that person unique, returns to God and is kept in a place of safekeeping. We could think of it as a vast file system containing the recorded minds of every human being who has ever lived. When the Bible talks about a future resurrection, it is this spirit that God will use to restore life to each individual who has ever existed. The Bible reveals all people will be resurrected in the future to either a spirit or a mortal body. It is at this time that the spirit in man will be reactivated and live again. It should be encouraging when we think of our friends and loved ones who have died to know that their individual personhood, everything that made them special and unique, is not lost forever, but is in safekeeping with God, just waiting to live again.
Verse by Verse is a Life, Hope, and Truth podcast. Check out the show notes to find more free content, like videos, articles, and booklets in our Learning Center.